Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, as well as you ladies. Um, this is my day job where I do construction work, custom cabinetry, pretty much a jack of all trades, master of none, but it's better than just the master of one. Um, the world in real estate. Real estate is crazy in the fact that it's kind of a roller coaster ride, that it goes through different cycles. Right now, because the Fed was trying to take care of inflation, they have raised the interest rate. So if you had a HELOC, that's an adjustable rate mortgage, you understand how the payments have been going up like crazy. Or if you have an adjustable rate mortgage, you know that your mortgage payments have been going up. Or if you're deciding that you're wanting to buy something, you know that it's going to cost you more. The crazy thing about it is the real estate market is still upside down because people who have 3-4% loans aren't looking to buy a new home that's 7%. They're saying it's better for me to stay where I am. So that compounds buying a home right now because nobody wants to sell. So there's less inventory and people who must move have to buy. Thus making flipping a lot more difficult. Flipping was great when you had low interest rate, buy it cheap, fix it up, turn around and sell it, feeding frenzy for people to buy it. But now the prices of real estate have gone up where it's harder and harder to find a good flip. That's not to say that you can't find flips. Maybe you've got a family member that's got a distressed property, or you can work out a deal that's not one of these places that are out there. But right now, there's still a feeding frenzy for the few houses that are there, but there's very few to choose from, so the price is high and the interest rates are high. Now, with that being the case, that means more people are looking to rent properties because they can't afford to buy. So the rental market has gone through the roof. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, if you do have one of those properties that you don't really want to sell because you got a great interest rate, maybe you want to rent out part of it, maybe you want to Airbnb it, maybe you just want to stay there. That's great. So the question is getting into the rental game worthwhile? Now, I have been renting properties since basically the housing bubble happened. I originally started by buying properties that were completely distressed. I'm talking about falling to the ground distressed. The worse shape, the better for me, because I was buying it cheap and that's what I could afford to buy. And going through, gutting them out, redoing the electric, the plumbing, the HVAC, turning an old house into a new house. This is actually one of these that I bought that was a foreclosure in 2008, I believe it was. I had planned on buying it, flipping it. Real estate market goes belly up and I'm left holding the bag. But actually, in the long run, I was better off as a rental property. Now, here's the problem for a lot of people. You may not have skills. So that means you have to pay someone else to do the work, which can be very expensive. If you have to call somebody for an HVAC repair, they're going to charge you $89 minimum just to walk in the door. If they have to top off the Freon or do the maintenance on it, depending on what kind of Freon's in there, you're looking at $500-600. Refrigerator goes, you got to buy a new refrigerator. In the case of this house, and this is partially my own fault, the house had the kitchen's upstairs, had a leak underneath the sink. The girl never let us know, and we didn't come down and check. And so what happened for several months, the drip, 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 destroyed the ceiling up in here, destroyed the closet, and came downstairs, messed it up, destroyed the carpet and things. Now, material-wise, the carpet and the padding cost me $350. A couple $100 worth of drywall, joint compound and things. Got to buy a new door. The light fixture is messed up, so we got to buy that. So we're going to spend about $1,000 in materials to take care of this problem. Okay, that doesn't sound quite so bad when you say, well, the tenant's going to be here and paying rent. If I were to pay somebody to do this, and here's the thing, that $1,000 that I'm spending because I'm doing the labor would be more like $3,000 to do the repair work on this. And that's where it ends up being, it's more profitable for me because I'm doing all of the work as well as being the landlord. Another example would be the red brick house. We we put a lot of money into the red brick house. We put in probably about $150,000 renovating and restoring that house. To put that in perspective, when the Red Brick House Committee was looking at trying to save it, they talked to an architectural firm. They were going to charge $250,000 just to figure out how to save it. Let me say that again. They were going to spend $250,000 for an architecture firm just to figure out how to, not to do the work, not to do any of the work, just to figure out how to save it. So if I had went out and I had hired an electrician, the plumber, well, my brother is the HVAC guy, my son is the electrician, but hired a company to do that, and the drywall hangers, the carpenters, the finished carpenters, the plasters, the roofing guys, it probably would have cost me in the neighborhood of about $400,000 to do that project. And so that's where you have to weigh. Is it better off being in where they have now, like conglomerate groups where you can invest in and be partial owner, where you'll get a little return on your money that's invested in real estate rentals, or do you go full in and try and be a landlord? Well, I've been doing this now for 15 years. And I'd say it's been good for me, but again, I'm not having to call somebody all the time to go ahead and take care of the maintenance. And that helps to keep my costs down. I've had, for the most part, really good tenants. Some of the tenants I've had have been for 15 years. You know, if you give people a good place to live, you take care of it, maintain it, they're not leaving. And that, my friends, is actually key, because the turnover is what kills you in rentals. If you have a person who comes and stays for a year and they decide, I'm going to leave, then that means you've got to spend, you know, time and money and resources to clean it up. You know, hopefully you only have to shampoo the carpet and things like that, but you may have to replace the carpet. You have to stock holes. You know, you've got things that are broken, and those things add to the cost. So when a bank looks at you, they look at what your income is per month for your rentals, but they only count 8 months a year, because they figure you're going to have downtime a year, you're going to have time to rebuild, and then you have time it's going to take to get somebody else in there. So these are all things that you should think about when you're doing rental properties. Ultimately, my plan with me and my wife is we're doing the Red Brick House to be our office and our home base. We have space in the basement where we can use for storage, for tools and things like that. We may Airbnb it. We may let people do events and things there because it is a historic property. But ultimately, it's a home away from home that will allow us to go ahead and stop having to eat out. You know, we can cook and maintain and stuff here, so as opposed to staying in a motel and going out to dinner. That actually helps to pay for itself. And then ultimately, with some of the lots that we have, go through and build more rental properties, because people are always going to need a good place to stay. And the best thing you can do is give them a good place to stay, screen your tenants, and keep them honest by doing checks. And that has been my downfall, is you should do checks every month or every other month. Just have it scheduled. Come in, change the furnace filter to make sure your furnaces are taken care of, and make sure that the tenant is taking care of the place. Don't not go by and just figure it's rented, I'm just going to take the check. You will make more money, or you will save more money by going through and spending that extra time in making sure that the place is taken care of. So hopefully that's a little taste into real estate holdings. Like I said, I've had this place since 2008. The good thing about what we have done with this place is we've gone through, and we do this with all my rental properties. We go through new plumbing, new electric, new HVAC. Well, although this one was in pretty good shape, we didn't change the HVAC at the time. But we have since, in the last 3 years, put new units in. If you take care of the place and give a place that's good, you'll have less problems to go back on. The money you spend on the front end, making sure that you've got a good faucet that's not going to break in a year and have to be replaced. The money that you've done to do new plumbing and electrical and stuff in there is going to mean that you're not going to have the problems, the short outs and the calls and things later. So spend a little more money on the front end, and it will make you more money on the back end. one other thing too about owning properties. When you purchase it, here's the best thing about a rental property. You may not make a lot of money every month on the property, but the interest that you're paying the bank on the mortgage, you can deduct. The expenses that you have for doing the house and fixing it, you can deduct. You also have what's called depreciation on your taxes, which you can deduct. When you have to go by and look at the place, make phone calls, those are tax deductions that you have. And the good thing about dirt, it ain't going anywhere. And it's always going to increase in value. My parents bought their house for $19,000 in the suburbs of Virginia. And now people are buying quarter-acre lots that are $800,000 just to tear down the house to build new ones. So the value will continue to always go up. It may flatten out, it may drop a little bit, but it's going to continue to rise. And so the time that you have the place, somebody else is paying the mortgage, you're getting the tax breaks, and it's increasing in value. Smart investment, if you ask me. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and you can see I don't mind getting down and dirty with my work. Peace.